the little girl discovered something terrifying. A hungry, stray dog was approaching her. Frightened, the girl backed away, but the wild dog kept advancing toward her. In panic, she urgently called out for her father. However, when her father saw the situation, he realized his daughter had already been cornered near the edge of a deep pit. While trying to calm his daughter and telling her not to move, he continuously made noises attempting to scare the dog away. Unexpectedly, the dog wasn't afraid and continued approaching the girl. Seeing his daughter about to fall into the pit, the father urgently instructed her to stand still. He picked up a stone from the ground and threw it at the dog. Unfortunately, this startled his daughter, causing her to fall. The father desperately tried to grab his daughter, but it was too late. Both father and daughter tumbled to the ground. When Nick regained consciousness, he saw his wife continuously calling out to their daughter. Nick was terrified at what he saw. He stood there frozen, not knowing what to do. Suddenly, his wife ran over, trying to wake him from his despair. Under his wife's constant shaking, Nick was finally pulled back to reality. After he fully came to his senses, he discovered that his daughter hadn't died. She had only broken her arm in the fall. Nick quickly took his daughter to the hospital. However, he saw many people waiting in line. Anxiously wanting to cut in line, he was told by the nurse to wait his turn. Just then, Nick suddenly noticed hospital staff secretly handing over a box labeled organs to transport personnel, as if both parties were engaged in some mysterious transaction. This made Nick feel somewhat worried. When it was their turn, since Nick's family weren't local residents, the nurse had to first create their medical records. At this moment, the nurse asked them a horrifying question. Would you like your daughter to be listed on the organ donation registry? Seeing the couple's strong resistance to this, the hospital could only proceed with examining the daughter first. Fortunately, aside from the broken arm, the girl had no other injuries. Strangely, the doctor seemed particularly interested in her daughter's eyes, continuously praising how beautiful they were. Then he suddenly said that while the girl appeared fine on the surface, internal damage couldn't be ruled out, so a CT scan was necessary. With no choice, they signed the consent form. Since the area below was strictly controlled by the hospital, only one family member was allowed to accompany the patient. Reluctantly, only the wife could accompany their daughter downstairs for the examination. Eerily, Nick waited for several hours without seeing them return. He could only ask the nurse about his daughter's examination status. To his shock, she said there was no record of his daughter in the system. Nick was stunned. He had brought his daughter to the hospital in the morning. How could she suddenly not be found? Nick angrily pounded the desk. The helpless nurse could only call her colleagues in the CT scanning room, but the answer she received was that the last scan had been completed at 9 a.m., and the patient was a 62-year-old elderly person. He couldn't understand how two people who entered the CT room could mysteriously disappear like this. To find out what was going on, he secretly snuck into the emergency room to search for his wife and daughter. However, his actions quickly drew the attention of security. The department head also came to check the situation. He told Nick that the hospital had no record of his daughter. At this moment, Nick suddenly spotted the nurse who had attended to them. The director had no choice but to call the nurse over and ask if she had seen Nick bring his daughter in that morning. The woman said she only saw Nick come to the hospital alone and had even helped bandage his wounds. Nick became furious upon hearing this. The nurse quickly injected a sedative into Nick. Due to Nick's disruption of hospital order,